this series is my way of amplifying Africans who I see who are doing great work in the area of environment, social, or governance stuff. Because oftentimes we hear about people everywhere else in the world doing stuff, and we seem to be the recipients, as if no ideas can come from us. And I know that we birth a lot of ideas because they are part of our culture, they're part of who we are. Circumstances makes us behave in sustainable ways. We don't have to be told, but the world doesn't hear enough about us. Tell my world a little bit about your background and your career, and particularly what motivated you to start Clatural.
Thank you, Rosalind. It's a privilege to be here, and God richly bless you for this opportunity. My name is Clara Pinkrah-Sam, and I am a multiple professional with diverse background and cumulatively close to 3 decades of professional experience in pharmacy and medical transcription, in IT consulting, and in sustainable fashion development. My versatility and adaptability has afforded me the opportunity to work in both private sector and the public sector, with extensive experience in policy development, business management, human resource, and I have also worked with the UNDP and the World Bank. I'm also a seasoned entrepreneur. I've been able to build a fashion brand from zero to local success up to the level of international recognition under 6 years. And I'm a mother, a coach, a mentor, and I believe in the phrase, everything is possible.
You know, when I met you, I remember immediately you started talking about sustainability. So tell me a bit, and you've talked about the empowerment of women, which is a big part of the S. You know, we hear a lot about diversity, equality, and inclusion. A lot of the time, we don't hear enough about empowering women so that they are not asking to be invited to the tables, but they themselves are creating their own tables, as you have done. So tell me a bit about what sort of challenges in the sustainability, under the sustainability umbrella, that you saw and you thought, I want to create something that can address those challenges, as well as make sure that I incorporate environmental, social issues into what I'm doing.
Well, Rosalind, I think that I have been doing what I'm doing across all my other professions. I've been a firm believer of female education, digitization for women, entrepreneurs, and all of us. So right from being an IT consultant, I've been involved in girls in ICT, women in ICT. I've taught entrepreneurship, digital innovation and entrepreneurship for women, and all of that. Now it got to a point I realized that in terms of empowering, I was empowering women and girls on another level, I mean, a higher scale, and I needed to see more impact from my end in terms of marginalized women and girls. So I looked in my palm and I said, what do I have? All I had was my extensive professional experiences, but then I knew how to use my hands and sewing machine to turn around fabric and leather into gorgeous stuff. And I felt that, you know, finding people who are not so educated or even not educated at all, women in that category, and making an impact in their life by helping them, empowering them in this area of gaining skills and moving up the ladder to even set up their own businesses and even employ more people would be more meaningful to me and more impactful to my community. And in that sense, I came up with the idea of setting up Clatural. And this is it. It was Clara creating a culture that is natural. And so the word Clatural comes from my name, Clara, culture, and natural. I have experienced and witnessed how when one woman or one female is empowered, she can use that little empowerment to transform literally a whole community. I have experienced it and have seen it over the years. And I realized that in as much as we've sent in a lot of focus over the years personally on educated, very educated, and some level, you know, mediumly educated people, I felt the need to reach down to those lower down the ladder and in terms of marginalized youth and women, and supporting them to elevate their livelihood to a more acceptable level in our society. And this is what brought me into setting up Clatural. And so, having to put together all the women that I work with and teach them the essence of sustainability, like you said, is already embedded in our culture as Africans, but taking it to another level and letting people know the harm we are causing our environment if we do not take action now. Typically in Ghana, we are known to be a dumping site for secondhand clothes and textile waste. And I'm telling you, hundreds of tons are dumped here from Europe weekly. And only 30% of it, especially in the capital where I am, Accra, the authorities are only able to manage 30% of the wastage dumped here. So the other 70% end up in drains and all the dyes leaking into the sea and all of that. This is a disaster. And so talking about it and also creating avenues where people can actually generate skills that they can help prevent all of these and make a living out of it. I think that is what I'm very passionate about. And that's what Clatural stands to do.
But one of the things I remember, and something you've touched on, is this whole issue of waste. And I know that you are very passionate about, your business, and we'll come to talk about how you started it, but about your business being one that has a goal of zero waste. So just explain, tell us how you're doing that, how you're achieving that.
Right. Thank you, Rosalind. I intended to create a brand that has this visual distinctiveness. Because when I was in corporate, anytime I wore something and someone wanted to say, who made it? And most of the time I would have to literally look at the label and say, oh, I think I bought it from here. So starting my brand, I wanted something that I can spot, or anybody can spot miles and miles away. Like I see you, Rosalind, wearing Clatural, and I know this is Clatural. And thank God, I have been able to do that. So first of all, to be able to do that, I needed to come out with a technique that would give that visual distinctiveness. And this is it. So anytime you see this design anywhere, this is Clatural. This is called the mesh, and this is called the shem. So the mesh and the shem are our unique signature designs. Well, innovatively, I came up with this technique of making garments. And this is because averagely when you make any outfit, you waste 15% of the fabric. Globally, that's what is, it's happening all the time. Now, how do we reduce this waste? Because talking about sustainability, we already have waste that we need to take care of, and we must also prevent making waste. So my approach in the setup of Clatural was multifaceted. So one, how do we reduce waste? Because we have zero waste tolerance. And that means, how do we avoid creating waste? Globally, 15% of the fabric goes waste when you sew. How do we decrease this? And that's how come I came up with this idea of using this, the mesh, and this, the shem, as our signature design. So by innovatively creating this technique of sewing, we are able to reduce the 15% waste to 0.2%.
Yeah.
So
0.2,
that's just
from 15% to 0.2%. Okay.
Yes. So if we don't clean or sweep our workshop for months and you come, you would see that you are literally not even going to find fabrics, just pieces that you can't do anything with. That's just one side. Another side is we also incorporate waste, which other fashion houses consider as waste. So that's textile waste, and we use that as raw material. And what happens is, so I have employed people who go around to pick up these cut-up pieces, textile waste. Yes, so there's timing that they need to get there to pick up. Otherwise, these are waste for other individuals. They're not going to wait for you to pick it up, and they will sweep it away. And we don't want that, because our brand is also a luxury brand, and even the water that we use to clean, detergent we use to clean, should be very minimal. And so we want it, it's almost like a spill off the cutting table, and then we pick it for minimal cleaning, also to save the environment. So that's how we incorporate these textile waste into our manufacturing. And the textile waste collection forms 40% of our daily production.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And yes, but our designer forces us to, as it were, mix the textile in a way that comes out as a style, as a design. And for instance, what I have on is different, three different pieces of fabric put together. Yes, the top is different, the here is different, and the arms are also different. So it gives us the affordability to join pieces and create. So what we do, we create wearable art pieces. We don't just make clothes. So that is a second area of how we look at waste and operate in terms of sustainability. And then in terms of our packaging, we have a very nice reusable packaging. And I think, you have a couple of them.
I've got
and what
them.
we do is, yes, what we do is we know that many a times when shopping bags are so branded, we tend not to be very, find them very attractive. So yes, our bags are branded, but they are done in such a way that you can actually take our label off and use it, because we promote sustainability literally, not, I would say, at our expense, but that's how passionate we are. We cannot say that just because of branding, we have a logo stamped on it such a way that you cannot use it again. And so, it's printed and just put there, and then you can easily take it off, because we want you to reuse the bag over and over again. For Clatural, the emphasis is on empowering a lot of marginalized women as much as we can. So we do have an employment policy where 75% of our employees are women. And yes, we don't entertain in any way, shape, or form child labor. So this is, marginalized women and youth. Mostly 75% by policy. Our company policy has to be female. And so we have them. And then we also, so that's actually the SDG goal number 5 right there, gender equality. And you understand that because having been in corporate all this while, I know the percentage of women in corporate is, as far as Ghana and for that much Africa is concerned. So it's the intent is to build the gender bridge here for women. And so then we also have 4% of our employment reserved for persons with disability. And this is towards sustainable goal number 10, which is reducing inequality. We practice sustainable cities and communities, as I have said, incorporating all of these wastes and also educating our employees. So it's just not about the practice in our organization. It turns out to be the lifestyle of all employees, and we urge them to pass it on. So it's going to be generation after generation. Wherever they find themselves, they should be creative enough, innovative enough, and think about, what can I do with this, which someone is calling waste? Because, like I said, we have a zero waste tolerance policy, and it emerges all the time. I mean, we have innovation sessions where I could pick, or anybody could bring something called waste, someone termed waste to work, for us to look at it and delve into areas where we can think we can use it, to produce something. As a company, we are going to expand our product line. So that is something that we are doing. And I tend to incorporate this in the very DNA of the organization. So parents teach kids, and kids will be able to pass it on, so that it becomes a generational thing, and we can all build a greener and a safer world for ourselves. So that's what we also do best, of course, is also responsible consumption and production. And I think that I've explained this over there. So we focus on SDG goals 5, 10, 11, and 12. And counting, we believe that the journey of sustainability, it has no destination. And as an organization, we are determined and focused on living this day in and out and improving on our sessions as we go. And I think that in that area of employment, that is what we have done so far. Majority of our work is not focused on the idea that you need to be a seamstress or a tailor before. It's more of, we craft most of these things. So even if you are a seasoned tailor or seamstress already, when you come, we still need to teach you. And so if you have no background at all, our challenge is how you would operate the machinery, and then, of course, teaching you the technique involved in creating our innovative mesh and the shem. And so we are able to as it were, involve people who haven't even gone to school before. We just need your commitment, and this is and we support you with in terms of accommodation, which is also part of the SDGs. You know, free accommodation for all of our workers and one hot meal a day, and children, workers who have kids under 6 years also have free daycare, just to support them and make sure that they can give their very best and build themselves in terms of self-development and sustainability of the entire chain of practicing sustainability.
The one thing that astonishes me is that you started your business 6 years ago. Is that right? And in that period of 6 years, we had 2 years of COVID. And yet, in that 6 years, just yesterday, or was it early this morning, because I sometimes can't sleep, I saw Carla Harris wearing your outfit on stage in the United States. So in 6 years, you have managed to go, from being employed, stepping out of the boat and walking on the water of entrepreneurship, but gone international. And within all this, you've managed to help others, as you're talking about free accommodation. These are things that big companies do. So how have you done this? How have you achieved this?
I would say, from my background as a Christian, I would say God has been extremely good to me. And I tend to believe that God is a woman for some reason, or I don't know how anyone watching this believe, but the force that controls the universe, which I term God, is a woman, because I think God really loves women. I mean, we are so powerful in a way that nobody should underestimate what we can do if you're determined to do it. And nothing should stand in your way, whether it's marriage, whether it's not having kids early or not having them at all. It's about your determination, your passion, and what you think you want to do. So, like I said earlier, everything is possible. That phrase is what I live by. I also believe that there isn't a perfect time. Every moment is the perfect time. So you must be prepared all across. My journey through various professions have given me so much in terms of exposure, talent. Like I said, I'm very versatile and adaptable. And so I came on board fashion with extensive experience in corporate life and even teaching entrepreneurship and having built entrepreneurs in the digital and innovation space already. And so most of these skills were just me transferring them and, as it were, adapting to the situation, and it just yielded. And so, yes, the things like the disappointment that we normally will get from our tailors and seamstresses coming from corporate, I know that in my target clients were people like you, Rosalind, and that is a no. So from day one, it has been like that. So my learning curve was shorter in that sense. Again, I have had opportunity of promoting Ghana as a preferred destination globally for almost 6 years. So in terms of marketing, I also had that skill. Of course, I was in marketing clothing, but how do I go about this? So all the dots were just joining together. Like I said, this is a journey that I believe the universe just curved it a way that I would not understand, and also by what is on my heart in terms of giving back and also supporting people and women lower the ladder than I was earlier supporting. I think it all comes into place. And to be honest with you, I think there are so many people out there who would love to do, who can also do this and maybe even succeed more than I have done in one sense or the other. It's about the uniqueness of whatever you are bringing. I think we have a lot of entrepreneurs, and when I have the chance to talk to entrepreneurs, which I do very often these days, I just tell them that, listen, there's nothing new under the sun, but you can bring something new under the sun. Just look at what is available and put this on another pedestal. One thing for sure, I did bring this shem from scratch, but mesh, my grandmother had a bit of it in her outfits. My mother had a bit of it because it's so difficult to create that way back. Nobody would take it to the level that I took it. So it's about being bold enough, being audacious to break barriers and do it in a way that it appeals to your target client, like individuals like you, like Carla. Carla is wearing my outfit for the third time. She wore one to Beyonce,
Wow.
and she wore one, I've forgotten the date, but then she wore one yesterday for Carla Harris and Friends event in New Jersey. So I'm very happy. She's not the only one. I have Fedra Pads and many more. Rosalind, you wearing them out?
As you were talking, we share a bit of that background, that we have been in the corporate world for a while before we stepped out. And I also find it really interesting how useful that background has been in all that is taught me, because, I've been very fortunate to work for some really brilliant companies who always expected excellence. And so that helped me when I started my own business. So I just wondered, I mean, you do, I mean, I do mentoring, you help coach entrepreneurs. Our younger kids, brothers, sisters, children who are coming up now, and for whom the world is a bit of a strange and challenging place, and finding work may seem difficult, so a lot of them want to go straight into entrepreneurship. But what would be your advice to them? I mean, knowing what you know, and I know, like you and me, doesn't matter what age we are, we still have young hearts and young minds. I mean, we're always thinking about the younger. What would be your advice to them in these quite challenging times that we are in?
I would say that, yes, entrepreneurship is a very good journey, but it's not for the faint-hearted. And your background and your mindset is very important as to whether you're going to succeed on this journey as an entrepreneur or not. So if you have the opportunity to spend some time under the feet of others, as in joining corporate ladder first and learning some meaningful skills there, it would really help you on this journey. For instance, I think that every part of the stage of growth of entrepreneurship is difficult. The easiest part is the inception, where the whole idea is actually in your mind. And even then, is who you talk to. You can be discouraged. But as soon as you sit and register your company and it's in the seed form and you are inception, putting it together and going to the level of a startup, that's when you need to even forget about, this person is my friend, that's why I'm employing. So all of those skills, who to employ, when to employ, what to outsource, when to outsource, those are all skills that you can learn from corporate world, just under the feet of a very experienced individual or from an organization or organizations who expected so much from us and who we still owe so much, because they have helped in shaping us, to be successful on our individual journeys. Absolutely. And so for the proliferation of internet that is showing entrepreneurship to be a very easy and successful journey and enticing everyone, I would say there are harder truths that people don't tell you, and we are all showing off the good side. This is a journey that you need to be careful, because there are days that you would literally have to sell your mind to pay your workers. The attitude of an entrepreneur and the attitude of employees are totally different. Whilst employees are looking for security, or they rely on security because they know for sure by their contract, they just have to deliver A to B. And sometimes even if they go beyond B and go into a C, they are rewarded. As an entrepreneur, you can jump from A to Z and still not have money to pay yourself. And so the mindset in going into this, it's very important. And one thing that I also tell young people, and I continue to say, having the skills to create something does not make you an entrepreneur. Your ability to create something unique does not make you a successful entrepreneur. So remember, because there are creative directors in organizations, and so if you have a skill but you don't have the mindset of an entrepreneur, please look for an organization that needs your skill, that they can employ you for you to use. Because remember, and also your level of education, being a professor doesn't make you a successful entrepreneur. You need to really know what it takes to be an entrepreneur and learn to find coaches and mentors. Again, don't just pick them online, because these days we have people showcasing what they have no knowledge or have no experience about. And so be careful who you choose as your mentor, be careful who you choose as your coach. But there's diverse, or there are many resources readily available that can also help shape you. So don't be in a hurry to start your own business, because it's a very lonely and difficult journey that a lot of people don't talk about.
What have been maybe 2 or so of the challenges that you would say you have faced or are facing on this journey? And even now, I mean, you are, I describe you very much as an independent woman, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, but we are never fully independent. We are all dependent on one another, as you and I have seen even in our short relationship. So I just wondered, if there was, what are your challenges? And if there was something that someone like me could do to help, in addition to buying your clothes, of course, what would that be?
Thank you, Rosalind, for this. From the beginning, forming Clatural, one of my major challenges have been to training people, because we embrace people. And like I said, our target is marginalized women and girls, females, I should say. So everybody's above 18 years. Some, by virtue of their economic state, already have children when they shouldn't even have one. They have like 3, 4. So having their full attention to train takes a lot of time. Yes, which of course we make room to accommodate. And with our business growing, we need skills and skills and skills all the time. And not just skills, but because we have been able to establish ourselves outside of Ghana, we are meeting global standards. So our quality assurance, our quantities, and the precision, everything needs to be on point. So a lot of money spent on training individuals. We've had support so far from Ghana Enterprise Agency. Thank you, GEA, for your support in helping us purchase some equipment. Yes, industrial equipment, but we still need support in training and even getting more equipment, because sometimes as we are training, older or absolute industrial machines are not able to produce fast and all of that. And we want to be able to set aside training machinery and production machinery, and also want to be able to bring on more women and more girls. We want to be able to, as it were, teach women to be able to work from home, certain parts of our work, so that if they are even nursing, yes, and this would mean that if they don't have any machine of their own, we will be able to lend them a machine to be able to do that. So we have a bigger dream, our long-term vision, and what we need now is support to get machines and to train more people to support our work. My vision has always been setting the example, setting the culture, the tone of the culture that I built. Yes, I've had to bring on very many professionals, like accountants and all of that. And what I did was to outsource. Remember, I've been an expert in outsourcing for many years. And so again, an expertise that I had, bringing on. Yes, sometimes you would have to let go because you're not, people are not meeting your expectation, and then find a better one. But that is where I also tap into my asset of network that I am bringing all over. So for instance, our common friend, Frida, has introduced me to so many people, because now Clatural is registered in the United States of America, and Frida is already there. That's Kainyah is already registered. So it was just about asking Frida, how do I do this? How do I do that? And so yes, my network that have formed over the years across my multiple professions is great assets, which I try to manage very well through social media and other connecting platforms like LinkedIn and conferences and all of that, to be able to serve as a rich source of information and help towards me. My target clients are the ones who would love that I am even the face of my brand, and I reach out to them and all of that. And I think that the joy in knowing that I still haven't lost touch with where I'm coming from while still helping people a little lower under the ladder gives me a lot of joy. And if you see the faces of my workers when they see individuals like you, like Phaedra Parks, like Carla Harris, like Billy Porter wearing our outfits, or it makes their years, not their day. Yeah. You understand that they feel fulfilled, that they make things that not people that they think are of their caliber are wearing, but individuals like you are purchasing and wearing stuff they made. That is what life is all about.
Is there anything that you want to, let me say this, give me a word of encouragement, because I have been encouraged by you, but I often think sometimes we women who are quite independent and strong, we forget that we need to encourage each other. I mean, I try as much as I do, but even to ask for encouragement. So I want you to encourage me. That's the last thing I'll ask of you.
Rosalind, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, that you are such a unique person.
Oh,
You're very special, and everybody needs a Rosalind. Yes, I do have my family, extended far and near, I have friends built over the years. I have just connected with you in less than a month, and I can publicly stand anywhere and say everybody needs a Rosalind. Oh. You are wonderful, and you know what? I think that you deserve a global award on how you are shaping the practice of sustainability on the continent of Africa. When I started Clatural, I knew you, I would have been on a higher level than I am now. With your extensive knowledge, your extensive influence, and the platform that you have within less than a month showcase my product, not just by presenting them as a product, but wearing them. And, thank you. You are an amazing.
And using you as an example in my sustainability masterclass. You remember, I sent you, I said, I'm going to change that photograph and use her, and talking about you. I was so proud to do so.
And everybody needs a Rosalind. So, you just said, what are you doing? Everybody needs a Rosalind. And especially if you're in the field of entrepreneurship and corporate, whatever, everybody needs you. And God richly bless you and sustain you in all of your areas. Please feel free to reach out if only you think I can be of help.